Welcome back to Let's Talk Autism with Shannon and Nancy. Nancy and I are very excited because joining us via Skype right now is author Dara Berger. She is the author of a new book that's coming out on July 4th, but it's available for pre-order right now. The book is titled How to Prevent Autism. If you're thinking that that's slightly controversial, well, welcome, because we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to tell you that Dara is also a documentary filmmaker who's currently working on a film about how to prevent chronic illness in children. She served as a board member and co-chair of the programming committee for the National Autism Association New York Metro chapter for 6 years. She began her career, as a news reporter producer for a local nightly news program, and subsequently founded her own documentary film production company, which is titled Say It Out Loud Productions. And they focus on covering meaningful issues. So we're really excited to have her here and to talk about this book. Again, it's called How to Prevent Autism. It is available right now for pre-order on Amazon.com and will be available on July 4th. I can't talk today. What is up with me?
I was stumbling earlier too.
I'm tongue-tied. But Dara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
We're thrilled to have you here.
Tell us why you wrote the book.
Well, I wrote the book because I had been, after my son was diagnosed with autism, I immediately jumped into alternative medicine, trying to heal him, and I noticed the healing process in him and myself. And it was in one of those very first visits with his functional medicine doctor that she told me that I could prevent autism in my next child by cleaning out. So I did all these therapies for years, and it worked. My daughter is neurotypical. It was a long road of cleaning out, and I've been sharing that information for years with my son's teachers, therapists, and I just decided, you know what, I need to do this on a larger scale. And I wanted my son's suffering not to be in vain. I wanted to share this information as his legacy.
So you were able to start cleaning out, as you say, your term for it, with you and your son. But is your son still on the autism spectrum, or did you quote?
He is.
He is.
We've made tremendous progress. My
Right.
son suffered a terrible stroke at 18 months, which catapulted him into autism.
Okay.
He lost his speech for 7 years. We regained his speech at 8.5 years old. And, you know, a lot of seasoned speech therapists will tell you that that's kind of shocking. And every day he progresses more and more because we keep doing, you know, special diet, natural therapies, all kinds of supplements, and he's doing great. He progresses every day.
So tell us what the cleaning out entails. What is cleaning out exactly?
Sure. So there's about 3 chapters devoted to that with wonderful practitioners, including Nancy O'Hara, Jerry Brewster, and Maureen McDonald. And a lot of people in the autism community know these wonderful people. And they talk about going on an anti-inflammatory diet, first of all. So take the processed food out. Go organic. Eat whole foods. So you're going to eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and meat. So just a very clean diet. That's first of all. Secondly, you're going to get tested for food allergies to see if you have gut issues, food sensitivities, gut dysbiosis, which is an overgrowth of bacteria. And then you're going to take certain supplements to fill your individual nutritional needs. And then lastly, you'll do other types of testing for maybe genetic predispositions that could put you at risk for immune problems or your child.
And you bring up a lot of things in your book, and we should say that it's getting quite a lot of attention. It isn't even out yet, and it's considered controversial. Let's start with the fact that it's considered controversial because you say that autism is treatable and preventable. It's scary to me that in 2016 we still have people who want to argue that autism, first, let's start with treatable, that it's 2017. Yes, I'm living in the past. 2017, thank you. And that people still are confused about whether autism is treatable. And then on top of that, I think there's more people who don't understand that it is preventable, that there have been studies to show that it is preventable even when you are more genetically predisposed. Tell us what your feelings are on this. Is it frustrating for you, Dara, that we're still have so many people who are unwilling to accept these two facts?
Well, it's not frustrating. It's sad to me because then people, just a regular person who gets pregnant for the first time, isn't looking for that information because they don't think it's available. But here we know, we have studied the human genome, and there has never been one single gene found to cause autism. That doesn't mean there aren't predispositions, genes that make you susceptible to environmental factors, which is what a lot of people in the field of autism experts believe is going on, that these genes are being turned on that weren't years ago. Then the other idea you have to realize is 95% of cases of children diagnosed with autism is regressive autism. That means they were developing normal from up till about 12 to 36 months, but then something happened to them, something triggered, or little things built up over time, and now all of a sudden they have autism. So that's not genetic, that type of autism.
And I want to take just a second to talk about the fact that we have a huge self-advocate network of individuals who are in the autism community. They're on the spectrum, they're almost exclusively adults, and they're very high functioning, they're brilliant individuals, and I love and adore them. They don't always agree with the things that we say here on the show, and I'm thrilled and excited that that's the case. And I'm thrilled for them that they have the capacity to say, Shannon, I don't agree with you when you say that. Mm-hmm. That makes me so excited as a mother of a 14-year-old who's on the spectrum. Every time that someone on the spectrum says, I don't agree with you, I go, woohoo, you have the ability to convey to me that you don't agree, and then I can have a conversation and learn from you. And I think that we're three autism moms here talking. I think we can all agree that we want that for all of our kids, for all of our kids that are on the spectrum. And yet we do bunk heads from time to time because there are times when we will say something that those self-advocates think that we're saying that we're disavowing them, that we want to get rid of them, that we don't respect them. And Dara, maybe you can speak to this. When we say that we want to prevent autism in a small child, I know I'm talking about the really disabling aspects of autism.
Absolutely. I mean, I got a lot of comments that people were very upset at me saying I want to prevent them from, coming into the world. I mean, I don't understand how you equate trying to prevent an illness that is so debilitating for some children. There are many children that cannot walk, talk, eat unassisted. And, that was my son for 7 years. He couldn't speak. He couldn't make friends. He couldn't be in a classroom. It was so difficult. But for those people that you're referring to that, they're so lucky, they're functioning well, they're confident who they are, they have a Facebook account, they can send me messages, I'm happy for them that they feel good and they're completely entitled to their own opinion. I know that some of them believe that autism is genetic and it's part of their identity, and that's fine, but that's not a belief for a lot of parents who have children who regressed into autism.
Exactly.
So tell us about some of the things that people can do to minimize the risk then. Let's talk about that.
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing is definitely nutrition is paramount. Start eating better right now. If you already have a child on the spectrum, you want to have another one, or you're having your first. That's the most important thing. And try to, if you have a history of autoimmune issues, or if you're suffering from allergies or fibromyalgia or any kind of autoimmune illness, get to a nutritionist or a functional medicine doctor so they can really guide you, because you're going to have your vitamin D level checked and make sure it's not down at the minimum, which is 30. You want it up somewhere near by 60, 70. People who have thyroid issues, they're 6 times more likely to have a child with autism. And then there's a simple test. A lot of us know the MTHFR test, which is a genetic predisposition. Get tested because you can work around that genetic issue by taking certain supplements. But as far as just without going to a special doctor, eating organic, not keeping Wi-Fi on in your house, especially while you're sleeping. We don't know what that's doing. Do not have GMOs. Glyphosate is everywhere, which is why it's so important to go organic. So those are just a few of the major things that you could just start doing right away, besides changing over to green cleaning products, paying attention to your personal care products. Anything that you're going to come into contact with that you can control, make sure it's natural and healthy.
So you're talking about toxins in general.
Yes, absolutely, because they build up over time. We call them contributors. So you think, oh, this is not a big deal, but you layer one on top of another, on top of another, and just eventually what people believe is happening to these children is these contributors build up over time, and then they meet a trigger. A trigger could be a virus, it could be a vaccine, it could be went into a field that had pesticides sprayed the day before. It could be many different things, but the idea is that your body finally has enough and the immune system implodes and the brain ceases to work properly anymore. And once that happens, it can be so hard to bring that child back from illness.
And so let's talk a little bit about when you had your son and he was diagnosed. I know a lot of people have to make the decision about whether they're going to have another child. Were you afraid that your second child was going to be on the autism spectrum? Were you afraid to conceive again?
I was desperately afraid. I wasn't even sure I was definitely going to have another child. I was cleaning out and doing all the things to Dylan. I did them to myself. So whether he did a new diet, a probiotic, IV vitamin C's, I went along with everything that he did. And no, for years I wasn't sure. But what did happen is I finally got to the point where I just said, I really want to have another child. I've been cleaning out for 3 years. I have to believe, whatever is meant to happen at that point, is going to happen. I've done all I can, because 3 years is a long time. And the most interesting thing happened. I got pregnant on my own right away. With my son, I had to do IVF. And a lot of women don't know, when you can't procreate, you're just not healthy enough to procreate. Nature, the body has a way of not allowing a woman to get pregnant. And I know that's a sensitive topic to talk about, but that's why if you're having trouble getting pregnant, a lot of this preconception clean out can help you get to the place where you can get pregnant naturally.
Yeah, and I want to point out too, for anybody who's watching, I know we were planning on having a second child. Jem was diagnosed with autism and we were afraid. But not because we didn't think we could love another child with autism. That wasn't it. It's that it takes so much of your resources to do right by your child. I was afraid that I didn't have enough strength, money, or resources to be able to do right by another child with autism. And I think a lot of people share that opinion.
Same with us.
Yeah. But and then on the other note, you think, oh, I want to have another child because you're not sure whether your child's going to progress to the point where they can live independently, and you're afraid, that you're not going to live, and you want to make sure that they have people around them.
Yes.
So it becomes that thing back and forth. But many people are in that mode right now where they're trying to decide, am I going to have another child? And you say that this planning begins before conception.
Ideally, but that doesn't mean that someone who finds themselves pregnant should feel like, oh, I shouldn't have this baby. By all means, no, because here's the other issue. Let's say you go through your pregnancy and you did nothing different because you just didn't know better, right? But then your baby is born and you start seeing what these practitioners call the soft signs. So these are chronic constipation, excessive reflux, excessive spitting up, excessive colic, eczema. These are all soft signs that the immune system is starting to get off kilter. Now, if you can right then and there stop and say, okay, instead of putting a prescription on this, some medicine, I'm going to bring them to a functional medicine doctor or pediatrician, a holistic pediatrician, and I'm going to treat these holistically, and you start doing the diet and the supplements. That's what happened with my daughter. You bring them back very quickly because in essence, you're still preventing autism before it happens.
And I think everybody can agree, everyone can agree that getting our children as healthy as possible and ourselves as healthy as possible, how could that ever be a bad thing? Ever. And that's really what you're talking about, is getting yourself as healthy as possible, getting your child as healthy as possible, and reaping the benefits of that. Would you agree?
Exactly. I mean, we have epidemics of chronic illness in children. I just read an article this morning on Facebook about 3 kids in the same kindergarten class in California that have cancer. I mean, we just have epidemics of asthma, autism, ADHD, all these illnesses that when I was growing up, nobody had. I mean, nobody had anaphylactic allergies. So I think that all the things in the book can be used not just for autism, for other childhood chronic illnesses, just like you're saying, to get children healthy.
Absolutely.
What do you say to the people that don't believe it can be prevented? What are your, when they argue with you about this?
Well, I haven't really argued with them.
Okay.
Bad messages on Twitter sent directly to me. I try not to engage with people. Because everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But if I'm having a healthy debate with someone, I say what you both were talking about earlier. How could it be a bad idea to eat better, to take supplements your body needs, to lower stress, to get fresh air? How could any of these things be a bad thing for your health?
Absolutely. What is your hope for the takeaway for this book that people will get from it?
The takeaway from this book is that you can empower yourself to make small changes over time, and you will see big benefits in the long run.
I think that that's a wonderful thing. So the book comes out on July 4th, but people can pre-order it right now. The book is available on Amazon. Are there other places where you can get it?
Oh, sure. It's available on barnesandnoble.com, Google Books. It's available everywhere pretty much. If you can also go to skyhorsepublishing.com's website, and you can see all the sellers that sell the book.
Okay. And there is a petition right now that is circulating for people asking for it to be taken off of Amazon. Is that getting any traction? Are you in any danger of having the book pulled?
I don't believe so. I mean, first of all, Amazon is in the business of selling books, and
Right.
that would be modern day book burning, deciding which books. And quite frankly, the book would probably just sell a ton better anyway, because everybody wants to read what they're not supposed to read.
Right.
And so the petition came out, and it basically, people started buying the book a lot more because they wanted to support the book, and they wanted to send a message to Amazon that this book is needed.
Yes.
And that was a lovely thing for me to see that support. So I don't believe that the banning of the book on change.org is going to be an issue.
Okay. Well, I applaud you for the work
Yes. that
that you've done with your child and for putting this together. I know that there are people write into us on a regular basis, and we've covered this topic before, that there are things that you can do to get your child as healthy as possible, get your body as healthy as possible, so that you have the healthiest children that you can possibly have. So I applaud you for doing that, and we want to encourage people. The book is How to Prevent Autism, and it is available now for pre-order, and it is officially out on July 4th. Dara, thank you so much for
Dara.
being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.